Today we're going to see if the GoPro Hero 10 can produce the ultimate Holy Grail time-lapse. We're going to go from the dark early morning to the bright Las Vegas sunrise. Normally I wouldn't expect too much from an action camera for something like this, but so far the GoPro Hero 10's been pretty excellent in every category. For the setup I had to put on a battery pack just to make sure we get the whole time-lapse. I know the GoPro battery is good for about 2 hours, so we're going to need more than that. What I'm using today is the Ulanzi Power Grip. It works great. It screws right to the tripod attachment plate, and then the GoPro screws right onto the top of that, and you only need a small cable to connect the two, so it's a really easy setup. Okay, I already have the GoPro in place, so let's go through the menu and make sure the settings are all good to go. These settings are what I find work best with the GoPro Hero 10 in my area, which unfortunately is inside the city of Las Vegas, where the night sky is lit up every night by the Las Vegas Strip, buildings, and most of the stars are replaced with airplanes, helicopters, and whatever strange objects are flying around out there. So with that said, let's get into the settings. First we're going to get into the time-lapse mode and select Nightlapse, then select Edit to the right of that. Once we're in here, we'll set the lens to linear or wide. I prefer linear so I have a nice straight horizon to work with. And we'll set the format to photo. You can set this to video and have GoPro do all the work for you, but you'll be limited to about 2 hours of recording with the GoPro battery. Battery backups won't work with the GoPro if you're recording video. You'll notice the second you hit record, the little lightning bolt goes away, telling you that it's not going to continue charging until it's done recording. They may be protecting the camera from overheating by allowing this, but I just ran a 6-hour video night lapse with the DJI Action 2 and the battery backup charged it just fine. It was pretty cool at night, so it didn't really have any issues of overheating either. This issue with the battery backup and the GoPro ruined the other plans for this Holy Grail attempt. I figured I'd take advantage of the scheduled capture feature and have the time-lapse start at 2 a.m. Well, the battery backup won't kick in when the schedule capture starts working, even if you're in photo mode. If someone found a workaround for this, please let me know in the comments. GoPro's support told me to try an extension cord and plug the camera directly into an outlet and see if that works. But sorry GoPro, I'm not going to go purchase a 500-foot extension cord for this. So I'm starting this time-lapse at 10 p.m. and running it all night into the morning, about 8 to 10 hours. Back to the settings. We're in night-lapse mode, edit, lens is set to linear, format is set to photo, interval I'm going to set to 15 seconds, and shutter to auto. The shutter control is really the only difference between the settings for time-lapse and night-lapse modes, but it's really necessary to help the night-lapse turn out so good. For output, I'm going to just set this to standard and save the JPEG files. The other option saves the RAW files and JPEG files, so it's going to take up a lot of disk space after 8 hours. If I plan on doing a lot of editing to my time-lapse, I'll choose RAW, but I think I can get by with just some minor edits for this one. Schedule capture, unfortunately, we'll have to leave that off because of the previously mentioned issue. Duration, we'll keep on no limit. We'll keep the timer off and won't need to mess with the zoom. Down in the Pro Tunes section, I've been experimenting with EV comp and setting it to -5 to -1 since the sky is so lit up at night and the morning sun is such a drastic change in exposure. We'll set this to -0.5 and see if it helps. White balance. We want to give this a setting between 3200 and 4000. 4000 may be a little too blue for some people. I'm going to set this to 3200 and try to get a little more contrast with the lights. We don't want to set this to auto because our white balance is going to jump all over the place with the changes in light. The ISO minimum we're going to leave at 100. ISO max we can set pretty low at 200 since we already have a lot of light in the sky. Sharpness we can set to low and help smooth out the details in our images. And color I'll keep on natural since I don't plan on doing a lot of editing on this one. That's it for the settings. Just remember that these are the settings that I've been experimenting with for my area. You'll have to dial in the ISO, exposure, and white balance to fit your surroundings to get the best outcome. Well, there you have it. Like I said before, there's not much happening in the night sky above the city, but it does prove that the GoPro Hero 10 is capable of handling the changes in exposure well enough to pull off a Holy Grail time-lapse. Let me know down below what you think, or maybe share the settings that work good for you. Until then, keep your camera pointed to the sky, and we'll see you again in the great digital outdoors.